Sometimes the world looks like you ain't ever seen it before. Stuck behind never-ending windows, all you need is a door. Searching for something to put a smile back on your face. Just remember, in unusual times, it can come from an unusual place. You need a partner for the ride, 'cause everybody needs a Clyde. So set your worries to the side. Just ask, say the word and I'll be there. Just ask, you know the greatest things in life all come in a pair. They say hindsight's 20/20, but that ain't far enough behind me. So if you want the sweetest honey, I think hindsight's 1990. There's no need to pretend I got a hand I can lend, 'cause when you really need a friend, just ask. Shit 90 shows taught me.
Shit 90 Shows Taught Me was not filmed before a live studio audience.
Are you ready to slay? So are we. Welcome back to Shit 90 Shows Taught Me. I'm Jess Sterling here with my co-host, Sara Fergenson. Sarah, how are you?
Jessica, I just had a exciting daydream of me playing guitar and finding the person of my dreams to make out with. But wait, I just saved them from a vampire.
Wow. Very
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, and you just woke me up from my daydream. So now I'm mad at you.
I'm sorry.
How
I'm
dare
sorry.
you?
I had to wake you up to talk about this super serious episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
It's very serious. This
Mhm.
is kind of a really good it's a good lesson to learn, to like never go back to your teacher's house, which I think is a lesson that we learned like a billion years ago.
Listen,
but-
we've been here. We've been there. We've done that with Pacey and Tammy and Dawson's Creek. But I guess the 90s love a teacher-student relationship.
Yeah.
And of course, we're not alone. We're going to be having many guests this season. Now that Sarah and I we've ramped up for the first 3 episodes, just the two of us. We're ready to bring in some guests. And honestly, I'm pretty excited for our first guest because in a lot of ways, this episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer remind me of the early days of Doctor Who. And who better than to talk about Doctor Who than Melissa? Melissa, how are you?
Good. I'm just here in my monogrammed lab coat, ready
Yeah.
to I'm so happy you explained why, because I thought you were just going to say, I'm so happy Melissa was here to talk this episode. And just have to be like, there's so much about this episode that I don't want associated
I
with
relate
me in
to
any
this
way.
episode so strongly.
Yeah. Are you high on bugs, Melissa?
I mean, bugs are cool. I had to do a biology 11 project where you had to like collect bugs throughout the year and then
Ooh.
display them on like a board and everything. And so
Oh
like
no,
all,
you
like,
have to kill them?
well, so you put them in little baggies and then you put them in the freezer. So it's like apparently the most humane way to do it because they just kind of go to sleep.
That's so sad.
It's not great. And definitely like when you're finding bugs in bags for like months after the school year is over and that you didn't like thoroughly go through the deep freeze. So I did do that project, but I'm not like, I don't know, bugs are cool. Like I'm definitely not like,
I agree. I'm a
anti-bug.
pro bug
Very
person.
important, like part of the environment and the ecology.
Yes.
If I've got like a spider chilling in a corner of my apartment, they just get to live there because they eat other bugs and they're like a good buddy. But there's too many silverfish in my apartment for my liking because I live in
hate
Vancouver.
Silverfish. No, in my opinion, once a bug has a certain number of legs, we're in the no-fly zone. Like I'll allow a certain number of legs, but once we get beyond that number, you're dying. And that's that.
It's like not a bad cutoff actually, because like the bugs that creep me out the most do tend to have like more than 8. It's like sort of
I'm
the cutoff,
telling you, yes, I don't know how many legs a daddy long legs have, but They've been banned for
I think
life.
it's all spiders have 8.
Okay, well, daddy long legs are officially banned for my household. I'm okay with most spiders, but daddy long legs, the fact that you could rip off a leg and it just goes on twitching is like so disturbing to me that I can't be anywhere near them. They're
Okay,
creepy.
so less than 8, maybe this number.
But
thing
I'm
is
okay
not
with other
exactly the
spiders.
perfect cutoff.
Other spiders
Okay.
are okay. It's just that specific
Maybe
one.
it's
But
a
anyway,
cumulative length thing. It's like if you put all the legs next to each other, how long does it stretch? Sheer length or number. Sarah would like this conversation to end very much, I'm sure.
Sarah, we're gonna be talking about praying mantises a lot this podcast.
Well, I think like the bug that I have my biggest ops with are ants. I've talked about my fear of ants before. I really hate ants, and I especially hate swarms of ants. Swarms of anything, really. Like I really don't like swarms. So at first I thought this was like an ant thing, and I guess it's not. But anyway, I'm glad that we're all very passionate about bugs. But Melissa, I want to know what your history with bugs in general are. No, with your history with Buffy. With Buffy. Please tell us, like, are you a OG Buffy fan? Are you like a rewatcher? Like, please tell me.
So I feel like I might surprise a few people with this fact that I am watching Buffy for the first time along with all of you. I have watched now exactly 4 episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, plus the musical episode that will come in some future season, because I randomly watched that one and no others. And like I'm a huge Firefly person. Like I've done other franchises by the same shitty creator who unfortunately does stuff that I enjoy. Absolutely. And then like, yeah, I've had multiple people be like, you seem like someone that would be really into Buffy. And I think that's meant to be a compliment. And it was just one of those where I don't know how I missed it, but I always knew it was happening. And it just like, again, it was like a time, we didn't have, if you weren't watching things live, you often miss them, right? Or if you weren't like setting the VCR to record it, you just missed it. And so somehow I just missed this, and it just wasn't part of my it wasn't part of my 90s, but it absolutely should have been. Like, this is absolutely up my alley. So I'm excited to be finally watching it. I tried to start a watch of this, I would say last year, just sort of randomly. It was being talked about amongst our mutual friends, and I was like, yeah, I should finally watch Buffy. And again, I think I got 2, maybe 3 episodes in, and then I fell off of it just because I got distracted with other things. So I'm very excited for the like motivation of your podcast to keep up with finally watching it for the first time.
That's so exciting. So what's your like main takeaway? Like, who are you vibing with? What is some of your favorite elements in the last 4 episodes? I'm dying to know.
Yeah, I think I wrote a note during this episode that I love Buffy's snark and Giles's melodrama. Their like 2 dynamic is very funny.
Yeah.
Because they're just both more extra than I expected them to be in this episode. Willow seems super sweet, and I'm so excited to get to know her better. I am right with y'all. Xander can get in the bin, especially this episode. He is not. He's so annoying. And I'm intrigued. I sort of, again, like I know you've said names of like things, I am also aware that there is a spike coming, and I'm like, I think I remember like enough from what I, just consuming stuff that I feel like I'm going to be intrigued by that type of character. So that's like the only thing forward thinking that I'm excited about. But yeah, generally I'm enjoying the just episode, like the style of it, the different, it's very kind of Doctor Who, as you said, Jess, like the camp
very
of it,
campy.
the different monster each episode that we're dealing with some overarching storylines. It's usually like a style of show that I really enjoy. And then the 90s-ness of it all, like this band near the start of this episode, I was like, oh my gosh,
yes.
Yeah.
Very, very 90s. Yeah, the camp is something that I'm enjoying. And this is very like monster of the week formula now for like 2 episodes in a row, I feel like. And in fact, this episode, I know it came out after, but there is an episode of Smallville that is so supremely similar in that the baddie is like a substitute teacher who's a seductive woman. Like this was a very like plug and play sort of storyline, I guess, for most 90s or early aughts shows. We'll talk about how it works. At the very least, Sarah, we're not getting a very long, extended, drawn out story of Xander and this sub, having an affair.
Yeah, and that's definitely an improvement from various shows that we've watched in the past. But let's get into the episode, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of snarking on Xander in particular.
Yeah, if you love Xander and you don't want to hear people talk badly about him, we'll just catch you on the next one, or maybe not, because I don't know that it's going to end anytime soon. But he is just the biggest cheeseball boogerhead of all time, and that's like the nicest possible thing I could say about him in this episode. And it starts with his like this dream sequence where he's in a band and a vampire's attacking Buffy. And I literally had to pause my episode and be like, did I start in the middle of an episode when she was getting attacked? Because I was like, where did this come from?
Oh, I instantly was like, this is Xander's dream. I call this immediately.
Until I saw him come down and be like, gotcha, babe. I was like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah,
now
I was like,
happening.
Xander's cool and Buffy is helpless, and this is not the dynamic of this show. I'm not here for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's also very interesting because like Buffy's wearing like more revealing clothes than she normally does.
Her bright red lip.
Yeah, her makeup is stronger. Exactly. This is kind of like the meme where girls are like, I wonder what he's thinking about, and you're worried that like they're like a man is questioning a relationship. In reality, he's just like thinking about like something like really dumb, like playing on the stage and playing guitar. It's like men are just so like men sometimes, and this is what he wants. He's a teenage boy. He wants to get the girl. He wants to seem cool. He wants to play guitar and be on the band and have people praise him. And it was just such like a 16-year-old boy's daydream. But thankfully we snap out of it. We don't have to see Xander be the hero for long, and we are finding ourselves in science class. Now, I don't know what kind of science this is, maybe biology, but
it's biology.
They're focusing on the bug's life. Now, I just think that all you should do is just watch the movie A Bug's Life, and you're fine, right, Melissa? That's how you learn about bugs.
It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some accuracy to it. You definitely get kind of the vibe. I do have to say, first of all, I was recently, this for some reason came up. I feel like it was on a Doctor Who podcast about drooling in your sleep. And I feel like I fully admitted to being a sleep drooler. And I may have been given some grief by Adam for drooling in my sleep. So I just... I will say, like Xander, I too have been known to like occasionally, sleep with my mouth open and drool a little bit.
Was he talking shit? Like,
yeah.
About you or about me?
This is the pod. No, about me. This is the pod where I air all of my Adam grievances.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I can totally take and assess those grievances of my partner. I will definitely listen to them. I'm surprised that like he hasn't outed me for being a pillow drooler, because in my heyday I definitely drooled on a pillow or two or all. I don't know.
Or every pillow you've ever slept on.
Yeah, I mean pretty much. There's little drool marks, but I don't fault Xander for being a drooler. Sometimes you just gotta do a little drool.
Well, the bigger problem is that he's doing it in class, right?
Yeah,
and when
ideal.
The teacher comes over and like the teacher is like, I thought he was going to pick on Xander because Xander's the one who's sleeping in class, but apparently he had his sights set on Buffy, and so he's like asking her questions from the homework last night. Oh, how do ants communicate? And gotta love Willow trying to mime out the answers to her, and I'm like, there's no way this teacher is not going to see Buffy's eyes, like completely not looking at him and looking beyond him to Willow, who's like sniffing Xander. I loved this. You know what? Solidarity. Willow has her girls back, and we appreciate that.
Willow's so good. I will say though, this was the point in the episode where I was like, this teacher gives me bad vibes. Like I had such a bad read of the situation, especially like later when he's going to talk to Buffy and he like shuts the classroom door. I was like, oh no, what is this show doing? I was so nervous about this guy.
I thought he was, when he shut that door, literally the first thing that came to mind was he's like, well, obviously you don't have time for this because you're a Slayer. Like I thought he was going to be like in the know about who she was and that he was going to be some sort of baddie, especially because Sarah, I feel like the title of the episode, I was like very distrustful of the teacher because the title of the episode is Teacher's Pet. So I was like, oh, obviously this is the bad guy.
Right. You would think, but no, he's just a respectable virgin biology teacher. That's it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to discuss the fact about that he's a virgin because the she mantis only attacks virgins. It's very sad to me that he's a virgin.
I mean, okay, so first of all, like there's a chance that she just attacked him just so that she could like get an in the school in order to have access to virgin high school boys. So that is an option. But the other thing, do you know what? Virginity is a construct and it's all made up. And the 90s were way too obsessed with it. And it was just like, I'm so happy that we don't talk about virginity nearly as much as we did in the 90s because it was like a whole freaking thing. And it's stupid. Yeah. It doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, it was like the American Pie movies was just like all virgin talk, especially the first one. Yeah, because like they wasn't like all 4 or 5.
They wanted to all lose their virginity by like prom or on prom night.
Yeah. Melissa, have you ever seen the American Pie movies?
I've seen the first one. I don't think I saw any of the other ones.
Did you see Canadian Pie? Is that why you haven't watched a Canadian?
I mean, how many are there Canadians in that movie? Probably. I just don't. Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
Obviously, the dad. I'm dumb. Eugene Levy's in that movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Very Canadian.
Yeah, the Canadian. I once saw Eugene Levy riding a bicycle in New York City.
Wow. Did you stop him and say hi?
No, he was on the go. I can't stop him.
Look at him riding a bike. Look at him go. That's great.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was concerned about like his special interest in Buffy because he called her afterwards and was like, I know you got suspended and lit your old school's gymnasium on fire. And then he was like, please just do the homework. And she's like, I don't want to do the homework. But why do you think that he took special interest in Buffy in this moment?
I think that he knew that she was getting a lot of flack from other teachers given her history, but he recognized that she was intelligent and that if she applied herself, she could do well. And I think that like different teachers have different approaches to that sort of student, but I really appreciated his because you could tell by Buffy's reaction that it is very rare for some teacher to recognize that like, yes, she is very intelligent and maybe she doesn't always do her homework or always like pay the most attention, but she could really excel if she like put her mind to it. So I loved this little conversation, especially because I think it puts more at stake for Buffy in the episode as to like wanting to like avenge his death, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Jess, because I don't know if I was like making that connection throughout the episode because I was just like, why does Buffy care about Mr. Gregory? And also, I don't trust people that have 2 first names. That's just rude. Mr. Gregory, is his first name Gregory? Is his last name Gregory? I don't know. So Mr. Gregory turns off the lights and he's doing some like sciencey crap. I don't know, looking at slides.
He's looking at slides. It's like the least sciencey thing I can think of. He's just looking at slides. He's not doing anything with them.
Yeah, he's doing an advanced science work and he's just minding his own business. And then out of nowhere, we see this like giant like black arm thing come and grab him. And I was like, oh no. I thought it was a giant ant because they were talking about ants. And as you know, I hate ants.
Yeah, I also thought it was going to be a giant ant. And at first I thought he was going to be like the monster.
Yes.
And then it was like,
I thought he was being transformed into a monster or something. Yes.
Yeah. And then it was like, oh, now, yeah, he's got attacked by an ant. And then it wasn't even an ant. So yeah, I'm right there with you where I was like wrong on so many levels at the start of this episode. Everything that I thought was happening was not happening.
I was freaked out. I was like, this is my worst nightmare. I was like, if this whole episode is about like an ant colony, and then eventually I saw like Miss French, and I was like, fuck, if she's like the queen ant, then I'm done. Like, I am cooked. Because, like I said, I'm okay with spiders. I'm okay with like so many bugs, but I hate ants. And if there was like a million ants in this episode, I would just get the ick. But thankfully it was just the praying mantis.
Yeah, but it was, and this is why I think it's so funny. And this is where like the cheese begins, right? Is like the giant like arm, just like it was so obvious to me that they were trying to not show the whole thing because it would look like someone in a costume. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we get the scene that Melissa was referring to earlier where there's just like this live band at the Bronze, which is very much like, seems like we're going to be here a lot. This is like the teen hangout spot that obviously does not serve alcohol, even though it very much looks like it serves alcohol. And Xander comes in, and we're like 3 minutes into this episode, and I was like, already I'm like, Xander, you're such a booger, like you're just the worst. He walks in, and there's these like two guys, like jock bros, like hanging out, talking. This what is his name? Blaine. Of course his name is Blaine. Blaine, such a name. He's like, and it's I think it's with a Y too, like, ugh, Blaine. He's like, yeah, oh yeah, her sister's home from college and I'm gonna get some. I'm like, what college girl wants to sleep with you, high school boy? Get out of here. I can't.
No high school girl, I don't think.
Here's a, the coldest of all takes. Boys in high school suck.
I'm afraid of them. Like, I'm serious. I don't know if this is like old. Okay, I just said I'm not afraid of a lot but ants, but I'm also afraid of high school boys because I don't know if this is like a old reaction from my childhood, but like when I see a group of high school boys, I am just terrified they're going to make fun of me. And I can just
Sarah.
be living. I'm a 34-year-old
I think you
woman.
can handle yourself against a bunch of high school boys.
If a bunch of high schoolers of any gender make fun of you, Sarah, you laugh and you say, "I'm in my 30s, bitch. I don't care what you have to say." Like,
I think I care. I think that's the problem.
Children, Sarah. They're children. Why do you care?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess I'm terrified. I need to work this out in therapy.
They never hope to be.
Yeah, the thing is they're all just losers. Yeah,
You
like
can
these
drive,
two.
you can
Yeah.
vote, you can buy alcohol, you could like, rent a car, you can go do anything you like, and they have a bedtime. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Bedtime. Yeah, I used to live next to a teenage boy when I lived in New Jersey, and like he would do such weird things. Like he used to like lay down on our front lawn and like watch TikTok, and like my ex was like, I'm gonna go like yell at him and tell him to like get off our lawn. I was like, please don't, because he's gonna egg our house. And I was just like terrified. So I let him like ride bikes on our lawn and like watch TikTok, and like I don't know. He like, I don't know why, but he always used to want to play on our lawn and not his own.
Just a badass thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Xander, in my opinion, is even dumber because he inserts himself into this stupid conversation. And then, of course, they're like, oh, Xander, how many times have you scored? And Xander's like, are we talking a day or the whole week? And I lost all respect for him instantly, because I'm just like, stop it. And of course, he has to, Willow and Buffy serve as like his little chicks that he could just walk up to and pretend that he's with. And I was just disgusted with him immediately.
Not a single high school boy is getting it as much as they say they do, unless they say it's none. Like,
this is a thing from American Pie, I'm pretty sure. They say you have to take that number and like divide it by 3 and -1 or something like that. And that's the real number.
But then girls, you have to like add 5.
Exactly. That's because slut shaming is a thing, people. That's why. Even though we shouldn't be doing that. We should just say, if you're having sex, good for you. As long as it's consensual and not, a teacher and a student.
And not that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That.
As long as, it's legal and everything. But yeah. And so they're like, they play along with him. And he's like, Blaine had the nerve to question my manliness.
Oh my God.
I hate him so much. Yeah.
I mean, like he's acting like a high school boy, like essentially. Like he is a high school boy, he's acting like a high school boy, and it's like very infuriating because we just want him to like be a good friend and be normal. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is the crux of it. Yeah, is the friend piece, because it drives me up the wall, the whole like I'm going to be friends with her in order to sleep with her thing
Ugh.
is like deeply frustrating and misogynistic, and like it's just a thing that like unfortunately is all too common, and it feels super super shitty to be on the other side of that, to be like, oh, you didn't actually want to be my friend, you don't actually like me, you just want to sleep with me. Like that's not a fun feeling. And it's one of those where like sure, like people have crushes and that is like a part of it, but it's always this like to me there's a difference between like a crush, which I think is like, I think Xander does legitimately like Buffy, but the obsession with trying to sleep with her is like so much more. Like, do you even know anything about her other than the fact
That's the
that
thing.
like she's attractive?
He just met her, and yet he seems to be obsessed with her. And like, again, to your point, Melissa, if he was just like, he really does want to be friends with her, and he also has this crush, that's one thing. But like
Yeah.
when he gets on her case later about Angel, I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
you don't own her. Stop it.
Yeah.
But speaking of, Angel shows up, and of course Buffy goes over.
Thank
And
goodness. I missed him last episode.
I know he was gone, but he's here. He's in and he's out just as cryptically as he always is. He comes in, he says, "Oh, you look cold." Hands over his sexy leather jacket, which of course he's just wearing a tank top underneath. Show
I
off his
love it.
bu-
What a
buns.
gentleman. I mean, seriously.
Was she even cold? This whole scene,
Yeah, he
I
just
didn't
said you're
understand
cold.
what was happening. Yeah, I
He
didn't
didn't even ask.
goes up, gives her his jacket, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm fine." And he's like, "No, wear it." Like it was just
No, Melissa, you know why he does this? Because he doesn't, he's cryptic, right? He can't, no. The reason he does it is because he wants her to ask about his arm, which is all like dinged up from the fork or whatever. And he can't say it. He has to just wait for her to ask because he's the cryptic, mysterious man, you know?
You do not think that it has like some sort of tracker device? Like, I am going to put this like jacket on her and now I can like sniff her out.
I mean, she does wear it like the whole rest of the episode.
I think this is just her jacket now. I think that she's always going to wear it.
Yeah, because it's like,
or,
I mean, if you meet a boy or a person and you like them and they give you their jacket, it's like, oh, like smells like them.
This is as old as like before the 50s, like the Letterman jacket thing.
Yeah.
Or I have another theory. Maybe this jacket has like a special shield protection spell on it. And if she wears it, because he's her guardian angel, then she is like more protected. How about that?
I dig it. I'm down with that theory.
Certainly a possibility. Yeah,
I definitely stole a sweater recently and brought it back with me across an ocean because I was like, "This is
exactly
mine,
it's
and
a
I'm
thing.
Going to wear it."
This is mine
and
now.
You know, yeah, it was just very much this is mine. Honestly, everything with Angel this episode confused me so much. I didn't understand anything of what he was saying.
Yes.
The other thing, I was like super surprised to see him so early in the series because I, like, similar to you all, I just knew like there's a dude named Angel and he has a spin-off show. I knew nothing else about him, but I expected him for some reason to come later. Like I didn't think we got him right away. And then there he is in like the very first episode. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me that like he always comes in, he's always so cryptic. He was especially cryptic in this episode where he just like he won't even tell Buffy what to look out for. She calls the guy Fork Guy. And so now she's walking around town looking for some guy with forks for hands. And it's like, you know what, Angel? You're actually being less helpful. You know, like if you could just give her a little bit more detail, you're still going to look just as mysterious. She's still going to be super into you. Give her a little more something to work with, please.
Do you think that he's being cryptic for cryptic's sake? Or do you think that there's like some regulations? Like he can't, like she has to like fulfill her own
regulation
destiny.
office.
Yeah, like oh my god, yes, like maybe there is like a regulation office about like, oh, like you can do this, you can't do that as a guardian angel. Like maybe like the thing is like maybe she needs to fulfill her own destiny. She is a product of a prophecy, isn't she? And he can only help her so much, you know. Like she has to like become the ultimate slayer on her own.
I think he just likes to be the dark and mysterious guy. I think he's like, chicks dig this, and this is what I shall do. But I like your theory. I do like
more.
it.
I think there's something more. Like, I think that he's like not allowed. He's not able to give her all the answers.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why he gives her the jacket. He's like, I can't tell her about the scar on my arm, but she can see it and ask about it.
Yeah, there's definitely something. So now we're looking out for like spoon fingers, and we don't. Who cares?
Spoons would not be dangerous.
I've seen a couple of dangerous spoons in my day. And then like you all were saying earlier, we got like Xander talking to Willow in the back, like talking shit, right? Being like, oh, look at that dumb guy, Angel. I didn't know he was going to be a hot guy. What kind of name is Angel anyway? I think Angel is a very popular name in some cultures. So what do you know, Xander?
Yeah, your name is Xander.
Well, his full name is Alexander.
I know.
Why can't you be Alex?
Exactly.
Why can't he be Alex like every other normal kid?
I guarantee you, he was called Alexander up until like middle school, and then one day randomly he was like, "I'm Xander now." I just know it. I just know he's that guy. Not that you should be able to pick your own name, but still. So Buffy is telling Giles about this whole thing about Fork Guy and Angel and all of that. And he's like, okay, let me see what I can find out. And I also love Giles has some really, this might have been the episode where I was like very team Giles. Like I'm a full Giles convert, because the first thing he does is complain about the weather in California and say, ugh, every day here is the same. And I loved that so much, because I too am someone who's not a huge fan of like sunny weather every single day. So I appreciated that from Giles. He has a little bit of a differing opinion on California.
Yeah, I couldn't handle it in California, but that's because I'm from the Pacific Northwest and I get cranky if it is like anything more than a very limited range of temperature. I was going to say 10 to 20 Celsius, but you don't know what that means. But
I don't understand.
Cool to slightly warmer.
Wait, isn't it okay? Do you add 50? So is it 50 to 70?
No, there's some like stupid conversion where you like multiply and then also add, and so I can never remember it.
It's very complicated conversion.
Refuse to learn it because you're the ones using.
We have the dumb system. So this is when Xander comes out and he's just like, oh, there's Mr. Gregory, he's out today, but I wasn't really paying attention because there were cheerleaders modeling their short skirts.
Well, that's really gross, but also like he knows that shit's going down in town. So like when he hears like, oh, he went missing, like why would that not be a like cause for concern?
Because he's Xander and he does not care. He cares about the cheerleaders in the short skirts.
This is the other thing is he's so annoyed at Buffy for talking to Angel, yet he's looking at literally every pair of legs that walks by him. I'm just like so over it.
Yeah. So talking about a pair of legs, now we get Xander staring at a woman from the distance, and we soon learn that this is Natalie French, or Miss French, the substitute teacher, and all these boys are like fawning over her because she's young, she's pretty, she's young, she's pretty, young and pretty is essentially why.
Can I make a potentially bad statement? Is she that pretty? Like she's pretty, but she
looks kind of momish.
90s hot. Like I don't think this hair is very good for her. Yeah.
It's the hair. It's like the bangs. I think they could have, she's wearing like shoulder pads. Like they certainly could have made it so that she was a bit like, because he is fawning. Oh, he is drooling over. He's doing the like dog, the cartoon dog where its tongue rolls out its mouth. It's like, ooga. Like, I mean, she looks like a mom.
Well, they're used to Mr. Gregory, and then did you see the real Mrs. French? Like they aren't used to like young teachers. So I don't know. She does have a beautiful body. I mean, she's just pretty. So yeah, so all the boys, Blaine and Xander included, are like drooling over her, just like Melissa at bed time. Drooling over her, and they offer help to get to the biology course, and Buffy is like very concerned about like Mr. Gregory being missing, like as you should be.
Well, especially hearing about Fork Guy, like
yeah, she's afraid about Fork Guy. She's not even thinking that there could be some bug lady on the horizon. No. But we soon get class with Natalie French.
And I also am like, where was the janitor when Mr. Gregory's glasses are just hanging out in the middle of the floor like all night, all morning? No one said anything. This just cause for concern. This man probably cannot see without these glasses, and they're like, there's a big old shatter in one of the lenses, and no one's concerned that he's missing.
Well, okay, a few things. Number one, like they could be anybody's glasses. Like, how do we know? Like, the janitor's not going to know.
Specific glasses.
They're
in his
black
room.
Glasses, Jessica. It's not like they're like glasses with purple and stars on them. Like, why would the janitor know? Also, what, like, there's people that have like 20 pairs of glasses. Like, this could have been like the extra pair of glasses. Like, I don't know if I found somebody's glasses on the floor, I would automatically think like, yes, their head is bitten off and they're in the school freezer.
Listen, I'm just saying it's cause for concern. I think they were pretty like, I mean, I don't know that a ton of teachers are wearing like very thick black frame glasses, especially when they're in his room and people know him and he wears the glasses. But I would have been concerned. No one else seems to be. But this lady, Natalie, she is so bold, Melissa. She's just like putting it all out there. She's like, oh, I heard you were talking about bugs. Let's talk about the praying mantis.
She's like, these high schoolers are too stupid to figure anything out. So I'm just going to spell out my whole evil plan for them right now.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my gosh,
I still thought that
so
she was
funny.
an aunt at this point. I would be honest.
Actually, so did I. In my notes, I said this woman is the aunt, right? So,
Really?
Yeah, I'm right there with
because,
you.
I feel like the arm that we saw that grabbed Mr. Gregory was like green. So I don't know that. I'm pretty sure when she said praying mantis, I was immediately like, oh yeah, she's gonna eat some people's heads for sure.
No, she was a green ant. I was like, this
green ant.
Yeah, I was like, she is the queen ant. Like, she is the one that all the ants bring their little feud to, the queen of the colony or whatever. So she is like, hi everybody, I just got here today, but I'm also running the science fair, so let's make egg sacks together out of paper mache. Who wants to volunteer? And all the horny little boys raise their hand. Blaine gets it first.
Egg sacks. Like, how horny do you have to be for that to be like, yeah, let's hang out outside of school time to make egg sacks
out of paper mache.
Grown adult woman.
Yeah.
Now, what is the paper mache method to make egg sacks? Like, are we doing like
around a balloon? I think
the balloon. Yeah,
pop the balloon. You pull the balloon out.
Yeah.
I think so.
We all did paper mache in elementary school, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, if Xander was just a little bit of a horn dog for Miss French and got seduced, and I will say, like, obviously it's her fault. There's a power dynamic at play here, and on and on, right? All of that would not be Xander's fault and would be like, okay, poor Xander. He is a victim. He still is a victim in this episode. However, when in the lunch line, he has the audacity to say to Buffy and Willow, like, oh, maybe you two are just a little young to understand what an older woman would see in a younger man. I was like, get the fuck out of here, Xander. You are disgusting. And like, really? You really think that like, that is like, you really? I can't, I'm like lost for words because I was so irritated with him.
Get him, Jessica. Get him.
I can't. Like, stop it. Stop being like, oh, look at this like, look her. She wants this hot piece of ass. Like, Xander, stop it. Get over yourself. I can't.
Yeah, but Buffy's got the good retort of, I missed the first part of it, but basically the too desperate to notice the surgical improvements is what I wrote down. That was very fun.
I loved that. We'll get to that a little bit later whenever Giles talks about Miss French, I full on died every time because he has the best lines about her.
Yeah. Did y'all have school
Blaine
lunches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never ate it, but we had it.
Yeah, we had
Like
like
I
a
wasn't
cafeteria, but I didn't I didn't eat it. Like we never had it where like, it was like a regular thing. We had
Really?
it that like if you brought your own money, you could like buy stuff from the cafeteria, but I
Yeah.
didn't ever. But it was never
Oh
like
yeah,
a
we
part
had
of
to
a
pay for school lunch, but they had it daily. I think it was like, if I'm not mistaken, and it's probably a statewide thing, but like it's mandatory because if kids don't have like food at home or something, you need to
Mhm.
be able to like feed them during the day.
Yeah. Like we
So
definitely
always
had
had it.
programs for people who didn't have food at home, right? Like we had like I remember there was like a breakfast program at my school.
Yep, same with
For kids
ours.
who like didn't get breakfast in the morning, but it wasn't like it like the rest of us, like I just brought lunch from home every day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sometimes I would get like $10 for my family. That was a big win. And my favorite thing was to get the Caesar salad wrap where they spelt Caesar wrong every time.
That's funny. How did they
Yeah.
spell it?
Ceaser or something like that. But like
Okay.
A is supposed to go before E.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What do
But
we think of
very good.
Cordelia's medically prescribed lunch?
so what is she like on Atkins at like 15 years old?
I mean,
Like,
it was the 90s. So
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
slim fast. Like
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was gonna say it's
Yeah.
probably a bit too early for Atkins, but similar deal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but unfortunately, she doesn't find her medically prescribed lunch. She finds the headless body of Mr. Gregory in the cooler.
yeah, there was no head. It was just like a whole like mannequin stuffed in there. And
Yeah.
that was a little cheese. I was like, I wish like it did because there's like no blood, no gore. It's just like a mannequin body stuffed in a thing. And Buffy's in her depression. This is where I was like, why is Buffy so sad? Like Buffy it's not like this was her teacher for like 500 years, but I do like what you said earlier, Jess, about like, oh, this teacher is like one of the only ones that didn't think that she was like a troubled youth.
Yeah, that's why I thought that it was like, again, maybe, I mean, I don't know, maybe crying is a bit much, but also like she's just feeling her emotions and like she really is upset that, and I also think a lot of it too is like there's probably a little bit of guilt of like, oh, I should have stopped whoever did this to him, like I'm the Slayer, right? I think she puts a lot of that on
Oh.
herself
Because she still thinks it's the fork guy.
she probably still thinks it was the fork guy who did it, and so she feels a little bit guilty about the fact that she didn't save him. But yeah, and it's Xander is the one who brings up the fact of like, so where's his head? where did they put his head?
Where is his head? She eats the head.
She eats the heads, yeah.
And
Ew.
then lays eggs in it. Is that the order of operations
Ew,
here? or no?
lays eggs in the head.
I think it's has sex with them, lays eggs, eats their heads, they're dead.
Okay.
I
But
think,
where's
I think it's the order.
Here's a question that we can just edit out of the podcast later if you think it's too much. Does she have sex with them as a mantis or as a human woman?
It
as a
looked like she was
mantis.
having sex with them as a mantis in the scene later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really understand how that works, but
I don't either. I don't think the show wants us to think too deeply about it.
I'm sure it does not. Yeah, that is true.
Do you think that the show knew that like 30, 40 years later or whatever, there was going to be like 3 girls talking about this show on a radio show? I'm sure they didn't even fathom it.
Also, the fact that Melissa thought that was too bad for the podcast. We've had conversations 10 times as bad as that we've left in.
Yeah, this is not
explicit for a
rated PG, baby.
I did listen to the intro to Buffy Pod where you're all like, don't listen to this to children, go away. Which is
Yeah,
to
don't
be
get
fair,
children out of here.
Adam and I had a very similar comment about the Percy Jackson pod where we're like, maybe not for kids, despite this being a kid's show.
No kids allowed.
Yeah.
So we're mourning Mr. Gregory. Everybody liked him. Rip.
Yeah,
Rip
Giles
Mr.
even
Gregory.
liked him too.
Yeah.
And Giles is like, "Oh, I have no idea what's going on." Like basically Giles has been too busy trying to study up on Daddy Vamps to pay attention to anything else that's going on. And so we also find out that there was like a homeless person in a park who was shredded is what they said. But the thing is like didn't end up anything like Dr. Gregory, but it was definitely Fork Guy, it seems like, was the one who was involved in that. And so Xander is just like, what the heck? We're on Monster Island. And again, from Buffy, I feel like this is the third time someone's had to remind everyone we're on Hellmouth. You know, this is a center of mystical convergence.
Well, they're definitely like teaching us, like they're reminding us that like this is what's going to happen. There's going to be all sorts of monsters because we're on the mouth of hell. I think I needed that reminder, actually. I'm stupid. Like, I needed it.
I didn't. We've talked about Hellmouth like every single episode since it started.
I mean, Jessica, come on. Sometimes you need a reminder.
Well, Xander certainly does. And Buffy also needs a reminder not to go creeping around the park at night alone. But she does it anyway because she's hunting. She's hunting for fork-hand guy. Yeah. And this is where I got a little confused, right? Because she bumps into him. She gets attacked by him. I wasn't aware because of how dark this scene was that he was a vampire. Because he had like claws, I assumed he was some kind of weird like Teen Wolf Wolverine crossover situation.
I mean, but he had like the ugly vampire face. So
but but we don't know that any other monsters don't have a similar ugly face.
Is he like a crossover event? Like he's the product of a vampire mom and a Wolverine dad?
Could be.
Yeah.
Or he could just be living alone in the sewers for too long, you know?
Did he chop off his own hands and become like Captain Hook? Is that what's happening?
He's like salad fingers.
Yeah, maybe he just maybe he's like, this will distinguish me from the other vampires. They'll call me Blades, but in reality they call him Fork Hands, you know?
That is unfortunate. Like, wouldn't you rather have like such a badass name like the Silver Slicers, but then you're just like,
I like Blade. I thought that was good.
Yeah, Blade's really good as well. Yeah, but then you're just like, oh, that's like Fork Guy. That sucks.
It sucks. It really does. He didn't make an
every
himself.
D&D NPC, right? Where you're like, oh, hard thrust is the and they're like, hey, you know, Kirky, whatever is what we're gonna call
everyone makes up a stupid name for your cool thing. That's always the way it is. But so Buffy is chasing this is Blades, or Fork Fingers, whatever. And until he creepy Miss French is just ambling through the park with some groceries late at night. He sees her and he hisses and runs away.
So now I think he's like a cat man.
Yeah. But then he just my favorite was when he just opens the manhole, pops in. He's just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtling it.
Oh my god. So he's everything and anything. He's an everything man. He's a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
He's a pirate now too.
Yeah, I mean he's anything and everything. But so this obviously sets Buffy's like alarm bells off where it's like, wow, like she scared him? That is weird.
Yes, and this is one of my favorite lines that Giles gives in the entire episode where he says about Miss French, yes, she's lovely, in a common, extremely well-proportioned way.
I love it. I love it so much.
You know, like I would have like very much like ragged on him for objectifying a woman. However, Jessica, how many times have you and I talked about like how hot Angel is?
Every single episode of Felicity, we talk about Scott Foley's soft, pillowy lips.
So I'm disgusting as well. I am gross. I am horrible. So,
I love that this felt very like tongue in cheek, right? Where it's like, yeah, if you happen to like that, like super well proportioned look.
Yeah, I didn't think he wasn't like saying it like, oh, she's a hot piece of ass, like I don't know. The way
Sure.
he's saying it didn't bother me.
Yeah, because he's British and he says it formally.
Yeah, because he's Daddy Giles, and
Yeah, that's
anything he
the
says is
British
okay.
equivalent to being like, yeah, she's a hot piece of ass.
Yeah.
But it's just polite.
Yeah, he's so polite about it. And he at least knows enough to be a little ashamed of himself when he says it, you know?
Yeah.
But can we also talk about the headband that Buffy's wearing?
Oh, yes, of course.
This headband had a stranglehold, a literal stranglehold on people in the 90s, where it is the spiky headband that is like, what are the ones that's like elasticy and goes all the way around your head in a circle. And I don't know who designed this, but they probably should like be in jail because of how much hair loss people experience when you had to take these things off your head.
I think that just means you weren't taking them off properly,
I
right?
had a lot of hair.
They were they came back recently. I saw some girls on TikTok trying to wear them.
Everything in the 90s came back recently, and it's all
I know.
Yeah, but I just don't know that we needed this back. You know?
No.
I'm just saying.
I know.
Yeah. But yeah, Buffy tries to warn Giles, like, oh, Miss French like scared him. Like, you know, why is he so afraid of her? Like, what the heck is going on with her? And so they agree they're gonna keep an eye on her. But unfortunately, Buffy doesn't get to go to biology class because the principal is like, this seems like a very terrible way to handle counseling for a student who's gone through a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Where he says, oh, you saw the dead body, right? Okay, well, now you need to be counseled right now. You need to see a crisis counselor right now.
This felt like the school like covering their butt against litigation or something more so than anything else. Yeah.
1,000%. That's what it was. You can't even like be mildly impressed that the school is advocating for therapy when you know it's just so that they don't have a lawsuit on their hands.
Yeah.
But Buffy's like really bothered because she wants to go keep an eye on Miss French, and she overhears Cordelia talking to the counselor. And Cordelia, way to make it about you, ma'am.
I hate her. She's like, well, there's a silver lining of him dying, and it's that I lost a few pounds. What, ma'am? Like, a person died. A person actually died.
Yeah, there's people dying out there, Kim. Is what I'm thinking about. Buffy escapes and goes to spy on biology class, and she sees that Miss French has given a pop quiz. And I think this is the first time in the series where I audibly like screeched when Miss French's head gets turned around like a freaking she's possessed by the demon. It was horrible. I got so scared.
Yeah, very Exorcist around.
Yes, it was so scary. I hated it. This is
so apparently they do have the ability to rotate their heads 180 degrees.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it was funny because I first wrote down the note when she's like putting her hand on like Xander's shoulder, and I was like, ew, this teacher gives me really bad vibes. And then immediately I wrote, oh, the head turning 180 degrees sort of confirms it.
Yeah,
I was like so out on her already.
I just don't know why she seems like so aggressive in like all of this that it seems like, how did she not get caught?
Right?
Like, she full on turned her head all the way around so Buffy could see.
Maybe, well, I don't know.
And like, because the other thing I wrote down is regardless of if she's a bug, she's still a teacher hitting on her students. Like, it's gross on so many levels.
Yes.
Yeah, she's a predator on so many levels. Seriously. Yeah, this was disturbing. I did not like the turning the head around. It gave me the heebie-jeebies. I think
I audibly gasped when it happened because I just wasn't expecting it.
No, it was so creepy. So and then of course I was just like, wow, this ant has a really flexible head.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so Buffy tells everybody that her team that she's definitely a bug or something. She's something, and we have to get ready for her. I'm going to research about bugs.
Yeah, and we find out that Blaine, who we know went to her house yesterday, did not show up for school today.
That is suspicious.
Yeah, so they are like, okay, making a note of that. Got to keep an eye on her. We're gonna go research some bugs. We see Miss French says, "Oh, I'm just grabbing a snack," and she makes a sandwich and like straight up just puts bugs on.
Yeah, crickets.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like Adam was like, why did she butter the bread before her
I thought it was
sandwich?
mayo.
I think it was butter. So then, you know, I said, well, her last name is French. The French love butter.
It looks like a mayo jar. I've never seen butter in that kind of jar before.
No, on the sandwich. You think
Oh.
it was mayo? I don't know. Who cares?
Well, it's usually what you would put on a
Okay,
sandwich.
it was gross. That's the story.
But this is where we get Melissa, her inviting Xander. Oh, and this is like, I mean, again, if I'm Xander, alarm bells are ringing in my head. But again, he's a teenage boy. The power dynamic is not great. Where she says, "Oh, silly me. I forgot my paper mache at home. Do you think you can come over after school and help me with the project? You're so smart, Xander."
Gross. It's one of those where like I get so hung up on the like forgetting that she's even a monster because she's being a monster. Like
Yeah,
I
monster
can't-
in many ways.
Yeah. It's like, yes, also she's going to kill you and eat your head, but like also she's trying to have martinis with a high schooler and it just seems terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just awful in every regard.
Yeah, so Xander does a little celebratory woohoo in the hallway. And this is when Buffy, so this is when we get the confirmation, Sarah. No, Miss French is not an ant. She is indeed a praying mantis because they can turn their head 180 degrees.
Wow. I love how educational this show is. I know 110% more about bugs after this episode.
And they talk about like how is it that how is she masking this, right? Like, is she a shapeshifter? Does she have some sort of perception distorter? I thought that was really fun. But Giles is like, "Oh, but I had an old chum at Oxford. Let me give him a little jingle, see if he has some books."
Did we ever learn the answer to that question of how she was able to change her form?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I thought she just was able, like a shapeshifter of some sort. I don't know.
Okay. She's a multifaceted queen.
Yeah, because it sort of reminded me again to the Doctor Who of it all. Like the I think it's the Slovenes have like, or no, they have like the zipper thing, but there's another monster that I'm blanking on that had like a perception filter thing that I remember that. It was like the vampires in Venice episode. If you've watched that one, Jess, and I feel like they had their like perception filter as well, where it was like they were being seen differently.
Jessica.
And they were actually like kind of fishy people, right?
Well, to both of you, remember Akatar? They had those glamours up.
Yeah, it could be something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know that we get confirmation of what it is, but like, because at one point we see the old lady, and I thought that was just her transforming into an old lady to like hide her disguise.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah. Same.
So we don't really know, but it does seem like she does stay as praying mantis later on when she's like fighting Buffy. She doesn't turn back into a woman. So maybe once the glamour is broken, like you can't go back to seeing her as a human. I don't know. But Buffy tries to warn Xander about this. And he's just so gross about it, right? Like, again, yes, he is a victim, but he's also awful. Where Buffy asks, "Oh, how did it go with Miss French?" And he goes, "Ugh, it's a bit demanding being her absolute favorite guy in the universe, but I'll muddle through."
He's trying to make her jealous, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And well, he accuses Buffy of being jealous, and he's just like, "Listen, there's just a chemical thing going on between Miss French and I." And it's like, okay, yeah, pheromones. That's actually a thing that's happening. Yes, probably.
Yeah.
So I guess like maybe we could excuse like 10% of his behavior and blame it on the pheromones. But the fact that he has the audacity to bring Angel into this conversation, I realize it's no mystery guy handing out leather jackets. And what kind of girly name is Angel anyway?
Maybe Xander just needs to buy like 30 leather jackets and his success rate in getting a girl would be higher. Just start giving them away.
I don't know.
I
I don't
mean,
think that would help.
At this point in the show, I think we're supposed to believe that like Willow has a thing for Xander, right? And Xander can't give her the time of day. So it's like, you know, he's like especially annoying in all of that because he's like so wrapped up. And meanwhile, Willow's like, yeah, he's a really great guy and we used to date, but we don't anymore. And like,
yeah, we were
blah,
5.
blah, blah. Yeah.
Although I will say when at the beginning of the episode, when he pretends that like Buffy and Willow are like his side chicks or whatever, she does go, she's like, oh yeah, let's go along with it. And she like hugs into Xander. And then later when they can't find him, she's like freaking out. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess Willow has a crush on Xander then.
I agree. I definitely felt those crush vibes in this episode. I thought that was pretty interesting. And it must be frustrating for Willow to maybe have a crush on Xander and he's like all googly eyes towards Buffy and random cheerleaders. And it's just like, you know, you're too busy looking at the sun when the stars are right there or something. That's the expression. Maybe not because the sun's not there, the stars at the same time.
The moon? Is it the moon?
I look at the moon when you were just there's stars right there, something like that.
Nailed it.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. This is like a real thing.
You're gonna Google it now?
No. You know, you guys know what I mean. You guys know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, Miss French is setting up. I mean, a classic thing when you have a high schooler over is to have martinis. Like,
classic.
Of all of the drinks, like, listen, martinis are like, they don't taste good. Like, this is not some. I mean, I guess she's gonna drug it anyway, and it's not gonna matter. But like, why would you serve a high schooler a martini?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, like to drug him.
Yeah, but I guess like it being a martini. My guess, first of all, I feel like martinis were also just like a bigger thing in the 90s than they
very Sex and the City, cosmopolitan, coded.
But I also think maybe it's just one of those things where it's like, this is so obviously like an adult beverage, right? This is not a rum and Coke that like, you know, you've had Coke and there just happens to be
a Malibu,
right? Like,
and
it's like, oh, this is so obviously like something adults drink, and Xander's trying so hard to like impress this adult woman with his drinking of this beverage. So that was like the vibe I was getting from this martini, but all I could think of was like, what, you know, 30-something-year-old woman, I'm assuming, you know, whatever, wants to sit and drink martinis with a high schooler. Like, it just seems like a terrible idea.
Melissa, that is the question of the decade, really, because we see it over and over and over again in these tropes. And it's just so infuriating because, like, as a 30-something-year-old woman, like, I don't look at 18-year-olds or 17-year-olds and be like, that's the one I want.
No, you look at them and think, oh gosh, they're going to pick on me.
Yeah, exactly. I only look at 26-year-olds and say, hey, that's the one that I want.
I do think like part of it though is not excusing her predatory behavior at all, but I think what we're supposed to see in it is that because she's a praying mantis and preys on virgins specifically, that like who she's going after, the age group would probably skew younger. Like she loves the like fresh meat, just like Daddy Vamps loves a virgin too. Apparently virgins just taste better.
You know what? Again, I have a great idea. If you're not getting any, don't stay in Sunnydale. Just like leave, you know?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Only people that are fucking can stay here.
Yeah.
But again, like if she's got this perception shapeshifter thing, theoretically she could be a
teenager.
Like, she could have come as a teenager. It didn't have to be this creepy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like,
if she is a shapeshifter,
be
just
like
be a teenager.
The hottest girl at school. Like,
yeah. Why be a weird predator? Why?
I guess because
she just likes the power. She is just a weird predator no matter what. But Xander chugs the martini. Oh my, I did laugh when he like coughs on it because I was like, yeah, you moron. That's not how you drink a martini. That's a terrible way to drink a martini. And he nearly like chokes it down. And so she asks, have you ever been with a woman before? And it's like, stop it. Just stop. Like she's checking all of the like cheesy, corny, terrible 90s boxes, to be honest.
Yeah, all of them. It was so weird. It was so weird.
Yeah. But he lies, of course, because of course he lies. He like, it was really interesting because he like immediately, you think he's like drunk, like he starts acting drunk like pretty much immediately, and I was like, this kid is a lightweight. Like that took 2 seconds to him.
Yeah, he starts like talking about Buffy in front of her as well, right?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So do you think that it was like laced with like something, or do you think that some
She
sort of
definitely drugged him.
sedative?
I assumed it was like drugs immediately, and then doubted myself, and then went back to drugs. Like that was my thought process over the course of this. Was like, maybe he's just really drunk really fast. No, it's definitely drugs.
Yeah.
Ugh, and her creepy little hand turns into a bug hand.
I love when she drags him away with her mantis arms.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And at this point is where I said, this makes total sense why she had to change into her bug form, because ants can carry like 100 times their weight or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, still, she's not an ant. She's not an ant. She's a praying mantis, but maybe they can do that too. So they got locked up in the cage, and he wakes up and he's sleeping on straw, but he has a buddy in there.
Blaine is also locked up in the in a cell next door, and simultaneously we get Willow and Buffy debriefing us on exactly what she is. Turns out that Dr. Gregory was missing his head, and they were teeth marks, and it's the way they feed, head first, and they bite off the head while they're having sex with the person. So
this is not the sort of intimacy that I aspire to.
It's a little bit too far in the BDSM spectrum, like a little too far off the side of that.
Yeah, like, even 50 Shades of Grey is quaking at this.
Oh man. Side note, I love how much like just casual computer hacking happened in 90s shows. Like Willow just like cracking into like the coroner's report or whatever. I was like, gosh,
not a school computer
system. Yeah, not a single system has any form of security in the 90s. If like every high schooler with access to a computer can hack into everything.
I'm pretty much obsessed with this at this point. Like, this is my favorite like ongoing bit at how talented Willow is at all computer arts, and the fact that like she is just this computer trope that is so popular in the 90s. Like everyone's like a hacker. It's just so entertaining, and I just love that she's like, like let me just go on the computer and hack into the coroner's office. Like how?
Yeah. I think Willow walked so that Mac could run, just to throw in a Veronica Mars reference.
I would like Mac. I like how Mac is also on demand. Like she just is just like, if Veronica calls Mac's like, yeah, no problem, I'll be there. Like I'm always available. Like she has like nothing else to do at any sort of time.
Willow's reveling in being the hacker. And at least, you know what? At least Willow's useful. What the fuck is Xander doing? Getting into trouble.
Getting locked up.
Yeah.
So it looks like Blaine has been here for a few days, ever since he went missing, and he's sweating it, and he kind of gives Xander the lowdown of what happens and what they can expect. And they both know they're kind of fucked. And we also see her in her true form. This is the first time we saw all of it.
In very dark. They don't like, this is not a well-lit basement. They're like, no, we can't show you because it looks really bad.
I don't think it looks really bad.
It's just so cheesy. It's campy, you know? It's 90s.
Once again, it just reminds me very much of the references that I make are like, Are You Afraid of the Dark, or Power Rangers, or I don't know. Like stuff like that. Like it is like, you know that this is like a person in a suit. There's nothing like that fancy about it, but it's charming. And she has like that filter on her voice where it like sounds like she's talking through an
exoskeleton.
Yeah, talking through an exoskeleton. And she's like tending to her nest of eggs.
Yeah, and basically Blaine tells Xander exactly what's going to happen to them. Like, he's like, she shoots eggs out of herself, which, gotta be honest, wasn't expecting that to actually happen later in the episode, but it did, and it was gross. And meanwhile, Giles is getting information from his old colleague, and it turns out that, yes, this is a real thing that his colleague knew about, and they call her She-Man.
Okay,
So good.
we were so close to praying Mantis.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
why did we not go there?
How do we feel about Kleptus Virgo or Virgin Thief?
That I love.
Virgin Thief?
Yeah.
She steals.
Jess, have you ever been a
virginity of young
virgin
boys.
thief?
No, I've not.
Really?
I don't think so.
Wow.
Was I?
Melissa.
I mean, yeah, like my
Yeah.
first was also somebody else's first.
Yeah,
So that
me
was-
too.
Yeah.
So
I think my first was
I think
somebody.
that
Was
was
it
it,
his
but yeah.
first? I don't remember now, honestly.
Jessica has zero. Like the best thing about Jess is that I can't get any details about her sex life because she just doesn't remember it. And then also her memory is getting worse and worse because I can reference something that she told me 4 years ago, and she's like, "I don't think I really did sleep with him." I'm like, "Yes, you did, bitch, because you told me." I was like, or you're lying 4 years ago. I don't know what.
The other thing though that I've picked up about Jess is that Jess was much cooler in her like
Yeah,
teens,
in her
early
earlier
20s than
years.
I
And
was.
then she became
so,
a
yeah.
dork.
Oh, I thought you meant that I am now.
No, your
lost
trajectory.
No,
you
than
were
what
like-
I was.
Yeah, you were like up, and then it went
Uh-huh.
like down, down. Where most of us were down here already, and then we got cooler as we got on.
So I'm on the opposite trajectory. I'm just
Yeah.
going to be way worse. I'm going to be the least cool person ever when I get really
I
old.
mean, you said it, not me. But
I just don't remember. Like, I could tell you like my first kiss and stuff like that, but in terms of like, was my first time also his first time? I really don't remember.
that's significant though.
Why is it? Why? Who cares?
I don't know. It
I know
mattered
I
when we
was a
were
virgin. that's
I
all
don't know.
I
It
need
mattered
to know.
when we were 17. I guess it doesn't matter now.
No, I mean, he was older, so like I guess I assumed he had been with someone else, but I'm sure we had the conversation at the time, but now I don't remember.
Yeah. All
Doesn't
right.
matter now.
Well, so you're not a virgin stealer. You're not a
No, I'm not a
Virgo
virgin thief.
thefist or whatever.
No.
Now, do you
and I'm not a
steal
she-mantis.
Virgos?
Do I? Oh, I love Virgos, so I wouldn't mind having a couple in my arsenal.
Okay.
Virgos
Very
are
good.
helpful to have around.
Yeah, they're very helpful.
They keep the train moving, you know.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
that's true. We love an Earth sign.
we do.
Thank
But I also love Giles like trying to go on this like whole rant about like, oh, there were the Greek sirens and all this other stuff, and Buffy's like, we don't have time, Giles.
Yeah.
Snappy.
But I did think this like was cool. This is like a big thing that I love in Doctor Who. I've talked about it, Percy Jackson. Like I love when shows bring in like stuff we know from real life and then turn like and fit it to the mythology of the show.
Yeah.
And this sort of felt similar where it was like, hey, you know, all these other myths and legends about like, you know, yeah, sirens and succubi and like all of these kind of common tropes. Like this is just another version of that for this world.
Yeah.
Like, so I actually thought that this was a cool moment. And I was actually kind of like, no, Buffy, I want to hear more. let Giles tell us about this. I think this is cool.
When it's appropriate, we can get the Giles lore dump, but now it's not the time. Xander and
Blaine,
Blaine, whatever.
Whatever.
They are trying to escape, and Xander like removes a pole. So now like they had two separate cages, but now it's like one cage so that they can be together.
Yeah, his great idea was just like, oh, I'm gonna stab her with this, which I guess, but like take one of the outside bars if you can.
If you can. Now they're in the same cage, and this begs the question: if she only gets with virgins, what if
Oh, they should just have sex with each together.
Yes.
Genius, Sarah.
This is
genius.
I mean, they never do it because misogyny and teen boys and I don't know, and sexuality and all that, but like genius idea.
Yeah, because this could solve so many problems.
They lose their virginity, number one. Boom. Done. They want to do that anyway. Two,
correct.
They don't die a horrible, horrible death.
Correct.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah.
And they're no longer they're no longer appetizing to Miss French, which means she'll go find another virgin and they can hopefully escape.
Exactly. Like it's a definite like
maybe some horizons are broadened. Who knows?
Exactly.
Yeah, and they're both douchebags, so why don't two douchebags just sleep together?
It's definitely the Uno reverse card that we deserve, but we didn't get.
Yeah. If this show was in like made nowadays, maybe we would have gotten that.
Probably not. But
Probably not.
So now they're just instead of getting with each other, they're just cowering in fear with each other, which is nearly as intimate because they're like holding each other in terror. And she now does like eeny, meeny, miny, mo to see
why this was so cheesy and ridiculous.
She's playing with her food.
Yeah. Oh my god. Have either of you eeny, meeny, miny, mo to choose a date?
Not a date.
I'm not that cool.
I used to be like a big eeny, meeny, miny, mower to like settle the score for stuff because I was just in like decision paralysis.
Except isn't it just always the second one? Isn't that the problem with eeny, meeny, miny, mo? Is it's even, so it's just always
whichever one if you're doing an even number of things, you're always going to end up on the same one. Yeah. Most people don't think about that though, Melissa.
No, I just got the first one.
What?
Eeny, meeny. I think it just depends if you're like eeny, meeny.
It depends on how many things you're doing,
like, eeny, meeny.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, right? It's the opposite of whatever one you start with is what you're going to end on because it's even. It's 4-4 time for the musicians out there, right? Like,
is the better thing to do is actually just to like get the flour, like you're like.
Can I tell you what I think the first thing that she should do is? I feel like anybody who's worked in the food service industry knows
it's first in, first out.
First in, first out. Yep. Like, I'm sorry, but Blaine is going to spoil first.
Yep, I had the same thought. I was like, no, you take the first one you got, right?
It's not as fresh.
All right. Stewing
I think
that's fear juices.
That's definitely the answer. So Buffy has an address. I guess like Willow did more hacking on to find like the substitute teacher.
Her records.
And then they find Miss French, but it's actually Miss French is like this old ass lady and she's retired, and basically the praying mantis took the identity of some other substitute teacher.
And so they're like, oh no, this means we don't know her address, we'll never find Xander in time. And Buffy comes up with an absolute insane plan where she's like, wait a minute, I know a good idea. Let's go find Fork Guy. And he has some kind of weird sensors that will help him find her. And I don't know that this was even proven by their last encounter. Like, for all we saw, he just hissed. We don't know that he actually can locate her for some weird like reason.
Yeah. This whole Fork Guy storyline made zero sense to me this whole episode. Like, Angel shows up, talks cryptically, this rando guy keeps appearing in the dark, and then at the end he somehow helps them find Xander.
And we don't know why he has the blades.
No idea. But this is going to be the solution, I guess.
Well, it worked.
Did they explain it at like the end? Again, I paid so little attention to the storyline, even though I was watching this episode for the podcast and was trying to pay attention. But did they explain at one point that it was like a sacrifice for he gave up his hands to like sacrifice for his master?
Oh, didn't Daddy Vamps cut it off or something?
Yeah. There's like, it is explained in the episode and I did not process it.
But it's so like after the fact because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So wait, what is he's like, wait a minute, before you go save your friend, I want to tell you my trauma, my plights of how I lost my hands. And then I can let you go. But first, a little bit about me. Wow.
Well, maybe if Angel hadn't been quite so cryptic, we could have just like
seriously, give her some information, Angel. It's not funny anymore. People's lives are at stake. People are dying. Xander he does his best. He's like, oh, I'll sacrifice myself, she-mantis. He scoots his little booty out of the cell, takes
Scoot.
a vague swipe at her with this pipe, like it's Clue or something, lead pipe to the head, tries to get away. She just reaches out that long ass praying mantis arm and yoinks him back down the stairs. He just falls, and I'm sorry, it was kind of funny. I was so tired of Xander at this point. I'm like, take him, please, eat him, get rid of him.
I mean,
Can you imagine if he was like a 4-episode character at the very beginning?
I would love that move. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, gosh, like where did I hear this? Oh, I think I read somewhere that that other guy that died, Jesse.
Yes. Oh, that he was going to be in the opening credits. They wanted him in the opening credits to make it like a bigger splash when he died.
Oh.
Why can't I tell the cool story?
Because I told you this.
Oh.
I was the one who told you that on like the first podcast or the second one.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I take it back.
So Buffy is like, oh, no worries, I'll just pop into the sewer. And like, let's be real, Buffy full on kidnaps a person. And granted, it's a vampire and we hate him, but she full on kidnaps him.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's if he got kidnapped. He just got borrowed. Oh wait, that's really bad. Never mind.
Got borrowed.
Never mind.
It was like in the process of, getting rid of the one extra vampire. I think it's fine. It's her whole job.
Yeah.
She just did it in a really roundabout way this time.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Xander almost got a makeout sesh. Good for him.
Yeah. This is like, she's doing the eeny, meeny, miny, mo, right? She takes him, and this is like so nasty. Blaine, I don't know why Blaine has to commentate from the corner, because he's just like, oh, here it comes. How do you like your eggs, bro? Over easy or sunny side up? And I'm like, you're next. Like, what are you doing?
He's just celebrating because he's not now. It's not him now.
And it was really gross watching the she-mantis attempt to like make out with a human,
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
Not well.
No.
Well, the Wolverine fork fingers really helped because he spotted where they were at, and so now like everybody is here, and like the thing that I had issue with now is the fact that like they were like spraying like bug spray at these people like it was going to do anything. Like this was such a bad idea. It didn't even like affect her in any sort of way, and they just kept like spraying it. It's like, guys, this is a giant bug. It's not gonna work.
I full on cackled when she started spraying bug spray at the praying mantis. I was like, this is how they're gonna defeat her.
I know, and
so
even
funny.
after like it was clearly not working, I just love, and by love I mean hate, that Xander like then followed up also with the bug spray. It's like, did you not just see that it was not doing anything to her?
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, so she also has a machete, and she's like, I'm going to chop your head off. And the idea was Giles recorded bat sonar noises for Buffy to slice and dice the praying mantis, and then all the bats will come and eat the praying mantis. That was the plan, which is, I guess, smart. But the issue is that the tape was like flipped the wrong way, and there was like a little bit of issue with the tape with the idea, and eventually the bat sonar noises came, and Buffy was doing her machete, and like, hooray, she was defeated. Hooray.
Yes, but Melissa, tell me you didn't die at just how many swings we saw Buffy take at this she-mantis.
I mean, so sorry, this whole thing was just a bit ridiculous. And was the plan with the bat sonar to attract bats, or was it just to scare the praying mantis?
Oh,
because
I
she
think it's like
thought
a
there were
noise.
bats?
I thought it was a noise that she didn't like, but
I thought that it was to attract bats.
Oh, bats eat them. It says,
yes, I
see if
told
you can get her address. If you need to record bat sonar and fast, bats eat them. The mantis hears sonar and its entire nervous system goes kaplooey.
Yeah, which is like, an extra scientific ending there of like, yes, the nervous system going kaplooey being a thing I studied in grad school.
Yeah, is that like a scientific term that you had to memorize for all your tests?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
wish I could go back on my
So
like
funny.
neuroanatomy exam and just be like, kaplooey, the way nervous systems go.
Kaplooey. Okay, so there
ridiculous.
was no plan for the bats to come. It was
I
just
think
supposed
it
to
was just
occur.
the sonar noise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I would have been happier if I saw bats.
I mean, bats are, you think bugs are cool. Bats are really cool.
I love bats, and I think that there's
Yeah.
a lot of really cute bats.
There are, especially the little ones when the
Yes.
meme of like, I am the
Yes.
darkness. And it's like, I am also hungry, but I am the darkness or whatever. Like,
But bats are not cute when they hiss at you, because I've had a bat hiss at me and like it is kind of scary.
Why? Why? Where?
Well, so
How?
at my parents' house, okay, so a thing to know about bats is if they get into your house, it is like impossible, even if you catch and release it, to keep it away, because it will, like, even if you bring it, this happened with my parents' house where there was a bat that kept getting in because they had, I think there was like a hole in their screen, so it would come in, and then my dad drove it like miles and miles away, released it, and it found its way back. Like that's how annoying it is when you have a bat.
That's like
And
mice.
they will find their way back. And so at one point they trapped it, like they had closed the window, so it was kind of caught between the two layers of glass, if you will, and it hissed at us, like they hiss.
I love it. It's like they're like, fuck you, I'm just trying to be here. It's like, dude, this is my house. I'm just trying to live my life.
I know, but we built our houses in their home, in their
That's
territory.
true.
It's hard.
their
It's like you
home.
don't want to hurt the bat, but also like I don't want it in my house. So like you need to find another place to live.
Why not? Like, why can't you have a bat as a roommate?
Because they have rabies, Sarah. I was gonna say you should definitely
Yeah.
get a rabies shot if there's a bat in your home, because if they bite you, it's bad.
Yeah. But anyway, so everyone is now released. Everyone is fine. Blaine and Xander are certainly scarred for life after
But
that
they're still
experience.
virgins.
But they're still virgins.
Yeah,
So they
well, we
really
all
did
know the
lose.
answer to that one.
Which I love Willow pointing out, by the way. And then Xander's like, you know what? I'm a badass. I'm gonna take this machete to all these eggs.
Yeah. Well, way to
It's like,
save the day, Xander.
Yeah,
job,
except
Xander.
not because you don't finish the job because you suck.
Yeah, they didn't think. It's weird that they don't even think to go and check out like Dr. Gregory's room, or that no one, again, does no one ever look in the closet? No? Okay, we're just gonna have some egg sacks hanging from the ceiling. No one's gonna notice. All right.
This was so gosh, this reminded me so much of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Like, I remember being so scared of like the ending episode stingers where there's like always something creepy that happens. Like, I don't know. And this is the second episode in the row, because the last episode was when the mom like was in the trophy and did the blinking.
Yes.
And like this one is like the eggs are still there and it starts to hatch. Like, it's so, oh gosh, it's just super creepy. And it just reminds me of something like when I was a kid, that sort of stuff like really spooked me so bad. I was so afraid. I'm
assuming that we don't actually have any follow-up around this, that this is just a like, oh, it's all wrapped up, or is it? But like next episode, we're moving on to like a different monster. That's my assumption.
Now that this is the second time they've done it, I really don't think so, unless they decide that the finale is going to be like all the monsters of this season or something.
Can you imagine? It's like Monster All-Stars and they just have to battle all the All-Stars, because like,
yeah, get your machetes.
Yeah, Daddy Vampire is like, I will have my whole clan of monsters.
Yeah, where are all the virgins? Yeah. But then one other thing happens, of course. Buffy's hanging out at the Bronze, wearing the leather jacket, just gotta say. When Angel walks in, and Buffy is like definitely flirting with him, right? She's like, it'd be
Oh, yeah.
helpful if I like had your number, like knew you were where you were gonna be, or like who you are. And Angel is the most annoying guy ever because he doesn't say anything. He just smirks. He tells her the jacket looks better on her, gives her one last longing look, and then walks away. Did he literally just come to the Bronx for 2 minutes to have this interaction with Buffy? Like,
I'm into it. Give me nothing, King.
stop it. Stop it.
You would not be into this, Sarah.
Yeah, you would hate this. You'd be like, is he even thinking about me?
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
Does
here's
he
the
really
tip.
think I'm cute?
If a guy shows up for no reason, exchanges 6 words, and then leaves, then yeah, he
Mhm.
was probably into you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at that.
Or he
Who
finds
knew?
you so repulsive that he couldn't stick around even to just like
Oh,
throw your food or whatever.
no!
It's like, oh no, Buffy's here. I gotta go.
Or this is literally just his job to check in with her. That would be so depressing.
I mean, it's certainly possible.
This is
but I
like
don't think
she's his
so.
assignment.
Mm.
He has no
Yeah.
interest. He's just doing his job.
But he did say she looked good in the jacket. So there's definitely, and he's smirking at her. You
I
know?
love compliments. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, overall, definitely a cheesy, campy episode, but it was still very, very fun. So I'm still enjoying Buffy. I just understand why people are like, get through season 1 and season 2 and on or better. Like, obviously, the technology only improves. It's just, this is like a very campy, like, and I can think of like 3 other shows that have done a storyline very, very similar to this. You know, it's a very 90s storyline.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right, are we ready to get into some feedback? We got an email from Sophie who said I'm trying to remember if I think this was, I don't know if this is feedback on this episode, but she said, so pleased how much you're enjoying the show. Next week's episode is really something, LOL. I have to assume that
No, it's this. Yeah, this is
this
really
one?
that is what I would consider
really
this.
something.
It was something, yeah.
She said, a couple of thoughts. I know you're taking the piss, but you have to remember the show started in 97. So what Willow is doing in terms of hacking could be considered very advanced for the time. It's true. She hacked into a coroner's office.
Yeah.
So it's
Are we
impressive.
sure it's just not something that anybody can get from Google?
Not the coroner's report, definitely not. But the city maps, probably.
Okay.
Also, who's
All right.
using Google in 97? I feel like
It's
still,
Ask
like,
Jeeves,
I
Sarah.
was gonna say it was like Ask Jeeves.
Bing.com, was that
Yeah.
something?
No, that was way newer.
Yahoo.
Yeah, Yahoo.
Yahoo
definitely.
had its day.
AOL.com.
Okay, so she's a talent. She is smart. She
Mhm.
can
Yeah.
hack.
Yeah, Sophie says the show's use of technology and how they hack is definitely laughable. But Willow is still impressive. It's true.
I
Yeah.
do. And her hair is so pretty and straight and red.
Factual, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
All facts.
Xander, I get that he's taking some time to warm up to you. He's probably
Oh,
one of the
no.
show's more dated characters and suffers more from a 2024 lens. Without spoiling and trying to be encouraging, I think he has big Ron Weasley energy. Interesting.
Mm, I did like Ron Weasley back in my day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
They
I'm a
said-
big Ron Weasley. Yeah, I'd like advocate.
Yeah,
yeah.
I am
Like,
too.
Okay, so so we all liked
We'll
Harry
see.
Potter back in the day. So like what are we seeing here? Like the goofy sidekick, the one that cracks the jokes, the one that like
It's like
is
hopelessly in love with someone, but like can't
sure.
admit it. But he's doing it in a worse way.
Yeah,
Let's be
like
real.
he's not going to be the one that gets like the most attention, and like maybe this is going to be like frustrating to him because like people around him are like better at stuff than he is. But then he'll join like the sports club and kind of suck, and then they'll call.
Oh
be
my
like,
god, are we gonna get it
Xander
like
will be our
Xander joins the
king.
football team?
I'm
Like,
sure.
ugh.
Xander's
not.
our king. Xander's our king. And then he's gonna like ditch everybody during like the final season, and then he'll come back right at the right moment because Giles knew all the time that that Xander is going to leave, and that's why Giles gave him that little like light pickpocket thing.
Yep. Well, I mean, you pretty much just spoiled the whole show and for us
Yeah,
there. Jeez
there we go.
Louise. We also got an email from Justin. He said, before I get into who my favorite character is, I just want to say that I hate how people always say the first season sucks. I mean, sure, there's some episodes aren't the best, but they have to build the world. They have to not only introduce us to the characters, but make us care. By that metric, any season one of a show sucks. Now, which I would agree. I like season one. I think people are just trying to like tamper expectations of like stick it out through season one because it's only going to get better in season two. But we've been enjoying season one. So it's, it's all great.
Yeah, I can understand like in comparison. For me, it's probably very similar to like Parks and Rec. Like I enjoy season one Parks and Rec. I just know that like later seasons of Parks and Rec are better. So yeah, I'm assuming it's sort of that vibe.
Yeah. Apparently Justin's favorite character in his first watch was Willow, but in subsequent rewatches, she got usurped by a character who shows up in season 3. So
Spike.
That's interesting. Oh, is that Spike? I don't know.
No, I have no clue.
I don't even know if Spike is a man or a woman, or I truly don't know with Spike. And finally, my sexy Daddy Giles comment. I don't mean this early. There's some moments later on when he gets sexier. It also doesn't hurt that Anthony Head is a singer and he has an amazingly super awesome, sexy singing voice.
Ooh.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know he sang.
What's his name?
Oh.
Anthony. Oh no, I can't Google.
You're not allowed to Google.
Maybe I can go to yahoo.com instead and
Yahoo.com.
Well, let's just say the one thing that I am spoiled on in later seasons is that we will see people sing. So, we'll get there.
Yeah. I forgot a musical episode, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And then we also got an email from Sara. She says that apparently Witch brings up a lot of people and themes that are going to be important in the show in the future. So keep an eye on that.
Love it.
And the current episode, Teacher's Pet, introduces a few smaller themes like Xander's luck with women. Not.
So he's unlucky in love. What a surprise. Maybe if he just acted like a nice guy instead of being a douche, whatever.
Yeah.
Then he'll get luckier with women. What a thought.
Sara also said that the lyrics of the live music at the Bronze at the start of the show are related to the story of the episode. That is so interesting. So apparently the lyrics are, the first date's the worst date. It's hard to know just what to do. I take you to dinner. You don't eat. You just play with your food.
Oh.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that. If there's often live music at the Bronze, we'll have to pay attention and maybe get a little bit of a hint. It'll be cryptic, just like Angel.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Sara says, early Angel is so hot and the cryptic guy thing is so compelling. I love him here with his tank top, his fork guy wound, giving Buffy his leather jacket. He's got the mysterious sexy thing down perfectly.
I love it. I really do. I'm a simp. I fully admit it. And I will follow him on this journey. Like, be mysterious, tell me absolutely nothing, but give me presents. And because when I was a child, that was the only way people showed me love.
Oh my God.
Anyway, what else?
Well, they also mentioned the story of how David Boreanaz got cast as Angel, which I think I don't know if we've mentioned it, but I've definitely heard this already, where he was out walking his dog and he was just like noticed and like plucked from obscurity to
Wait, hold on, Jessica, how often do you walk your dog? We've heard this before.
Yes, we've heard this before. And apparently also Sara says, I think you should start to appreciate Giles more in this episode. We definitely did. Definitely did. Because his quotes had me dying. He had another one later on when he was talking about Miss French that I died at. He and Buffy are starting to work out how their relationship will go. You will come to love Giles. Oh my gosh, apparently the actor who played the real Natalie French, the older woman, that's Ron Howard's mom.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. That's a fun anecdote. So thank you everyone for sending in feedback. If you want to send in feedback, shit90spod@gmail.com, shit90spod.com. You can send us in a voicemail if you want. We love getting it. We're like ecstatic to get all this feedback about Buffy. It's really fun, especially because we know nothing and like everyone else knows everything.
Side note, did y'all discuss the Dolly Parton news already?
What Dolly Parton news?
So it came out, I think, recently, but maybe this is old news to Buffy heads. Dolly Parton was a producer on the original Buffy and is involved in the
Oh, wow.
potential revamp.
Wow.
No kidding. I did not know that.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's like
Dolly
I think it
Parton?
only got confirmed like within the last few days. But yeah, like Sarah Michelle Gellar confirmed Dolly Parton's involvement on a recent Tonight Show episode with Jimmy Fallon in February 2023. So like, okay, so a year ago. Saying yes,
Wow.
little known fact, the legend Dolly Parton was a producer. And it's Dolly Parton who's saying that they are in talks to like do a revamping of Buffy.
I
That's
gotta
so
tell you,
interesting.
Dolly is always in the mix. And
She's incredible.
she is. I said, if Moderna is good enough for Dolly, it's good enough for me. And that's why I
Yeah.
chose Moderna over Pfizer.
There you go.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. Like Dolly Parton's always doing things. I love how she just like has all of these projects that you don't hear about until like way after the fact. We're like, oh, this is like a cool thing that you're involved in that is like just good for the world. Or is like just like a cool, 90s feminist icon show. Like, but anyway, yeah, Dolly Parton is just like
Love Dolly Parton.
very
She is
cool.
a feminist icon. She's great.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Do you want to hear what the next episode title is?
Yes.
Never Kill a Boy on the First Date.
Uh-oh. Who
Mm.
got the first date?
I mean,
I mean-
we heard about the first date and the song on this one, so I don't know
Yeah.
if that means
And
it's-
then you play with your food.
well, that was the
I think we
praying
joked
mantis, right?
about Xander being a 4-episode character, but maybe he's just a 5-episode character.
We can all hope, but I don't
Yeah.
think that's the case. Well, thank you so much, Melissa, for joining us on this episode. This was so much fun. This was certainly like the wackiest episode of the season so far. I don't know if it will get wackier in looking at some of the titles of the upcoming episodes. Possibly.
Yeah.
We'll just have to wait and see. But Melissa, where can people find you to see what else you have going on?
Sure. Yeah. I'm on social media on Twitter, Melissa W28 or Melissa Woodward 28 on other social media. I'm talking over on Post Show Recaps, talking Percy Jackson, which the finale aired today. So we're just kind of wrapping that up. And then we've got our last book club podcast, which has been super fun, talking Doctor Who as well. So yeah, I'm around places occasionally. I play D&D over on twitch.tv/DMPhilly. Those are where I'm at on the internet.
Sarah, what about you? Where can people find you?
You can find us at Shenanigans Pod. You can find me at Sara Fergenson. It's almost February, and we are doing our rom-com Feb.
Frisky
And
Feb, right? Are we rebranding, or are we still calling it
sure.
rom-com Feb?
I don't care.
Oh, Sarah, you're supposed to be passionate about it. It's the month of passion.
Jessica, you know me. I'm apathetic. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Mhm.
But anyway, Never Been Kissed and
Wedding Singer.
Thank you.
Mhm. It's a Drew
Um,
Barrymore special month.
Yeah. So very excited to cover those shows, and then we still are covering Felicity, and we are still we'll be back with Buffy next week.
Yeah, Buffy Thursdays, Felicity Mondays. Keep an eye out for it in the feeds. You can hear me also over on Pusher Recaps, doing full spoiler recaps weekly with Grace Leader, and also True Detective season 4, which check that show out. It's really good this season. I promise. It's a little spooky in a good way. So check that show out, because I think it's honestly one of the better shows on TV right now. Not that there's like a ton on, but yeah, that's where you can find me, and you can find us at Shenanigans Pod every week, putting out Buffy and Felicity podcasts. Thank you all for listening. We will be back next week with Never Kill a Boy on the First Date. Have a good one, everybody.
Just ask. Shit 90 shows taught me.
Shit 90 Shows Taught Me was not filmed before a live studio audience.